I am Cindy Kelly, Atomic Heritage Foundation, and it is October 12, 2017 in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And I am with Elspeth Bobbs, who has some very interesting stories. But first, I want Elspeth to say her name and spell it.
Elspeth. Elspeth. It's Scottish. Elspeth.
And your married name? Bobbs? How do you spell?
Oh, that was my husband's name. And he was Pennsylvania Dutch. And he had a horrible name when I met him. Horrible name. B-O-P-S-T. Bobst. I thought, hell, there was something called bop. That's some kind of music. And it sounds like thou bopst. Well, I would marry him no matter what. But when we were going to Europe, I said, I am not going to Europe with a name like that. Then we changed it to a sort of more, an easier name, but I still don't like. But an easier name. But he would have taken any name. He didn't like a name either, but he didn't tell me. Why didn't I change it to Grant or McGillicuddy or something interesting?
So how do you spell your new spelling? What is it now? How do you spell Bobbs now?
Howard. Bobbs.
You spell Bobbs.
B-O-B-B-S.
That's much easier.
Anglican.
That's good. Well, tell us about being a young woman in Santa Fe during World War II.
Yes.
You were here, and what were you doing here?
Well, this is a long story. My father was American, my mother was English, and she came here for 4 years after the First World War. When they married, she was here for 4 years in America. And then finally, after 4 years, she said, I'm going to England, I'm going back to England, and told my father, you can come if you want. And of course, he went with her. So I was born in England and reared there, went to schools there, was educated there. So I regarded myself as English, which I was. And then in the Second World War, big trouble, because we lived within 20 miles of the East Coast in England, and all aliens had to move out. But I was English, and I was okay there. But my father had to move out. So, and then we stayed in Liverpool during the war. Then America came into the war in 1941. And my father got a letter from the American embassy that said, if you are not contributing directly to the war, please go home. Well, so my mother and father decided to go. It would be much better for my father because it was very hard for him during the war, the blackout, and nothing much for him to do. I think his war job was looking after animals that used in research. A horrible job. So they decided to go, although they did not want to leave my brother, who was in the army. But they thought best for my father. So they asked me, what would you like to do? I was 22, and So I thought about it, and I thought about what would happen to me left here. Probably no means of support, and if people used in armament factories. So I had the common sense to realize, do I want to live in do I want to work in an armament factory, or do I go to America? So I made the very sensible and happy choice of going to America. And then we all went to my father's hometown, San Francisco. And so I lived there for a bit over a year. And then I came into a legacy from my San Francisco grandfather, a handsome legacy. I said to myself, freedom. What do I want to do? So I've been reading all Mabel Dodge Luan's books when I was in San Francisco. I read all of them. I said, New Mexico sounds very nice. I want to go to New Mexico. Over the times that come, you have to leave our parents. That was the time for me. So I wrote to a Rhodes Scholar, goes to Oxford on a scholarship. And I knew the Rhodes Scholar in Oxford. And I liked him very much. He was older than me. And he married an English girl who read law ahead of me in Oxford. So, and I had his address. So I wrote and asked him and said, do you know anybody that would befriend me in Santa Fe if I went there? And he wrote back and said, of course, my mother was very happy to befriend you. So off I went on the train and arrived in Santa Fe. And his mother was wonderful to me. She really was. And she found a place to rent around the corner for me for $30 a month. And she got me a job with an abstract company in Santa Fe. And so I can't remember what I did. So it was very nice of them to take me in. So that's how I came to Santa Fe. On a voyage of my own. And the boy was so happy. I loved Santa Fe. I arrived in November of 1943. November, you know, the muddy and patches of snow. But still I looked around and I saw the lovely adobe houses. And I smelt the pinyon smoke, which was quite prominent then. And I thought, oh, I like this place. That's how I came to Santa Fe.
So at this point, had you gone to college?
Yes.
Where did you go? What did you study, and where did you go to
I
school?
went to St. Hilda's at Oxford, and I, due to my mother's pressure, really, I had to read law. Quite wrong for me, utterly wrong. I hated law. I had to read the Roman law in Latin. What a bore. Horrid.
So you did not become a barrister?
I was very unhappy at Oxford. Big point about me is that I started going deaf when I was 11. So gradually got worse and worse and worse. By the time I was at Oxford, I could not hear the lectures. I could hear people if they spoke clearly, but not lectures. So I was kind of out of everything, and I was very unhappy there. And then war broke out in '39 when I was there. I had spent 2 years at Oxford. War broke out. My parents moved to Liverpool, where my mother's family came from. And so I decided, hell with it, I'll finish my degree in Liverpool, University of Liverpool. So I switched to them. So I've got an English law degree, and I'm so thankful that I can be a gardener instead. Lucky me. And I was given a job in San Francisco, probably due to family pressure. So I worked in a Crocker Bank in San Francisco. But then I have a job here too. There's nothing better for one's self-esteem than a job. So I'm very happy with both of them.
Okay. So this is kind of partway through the Manhattan Project. They've been there since April. How did you connect with people on the Hill? How did you meet Joseph Rotblat, for example?
Oh, well, that's interesting, because he was in the atomic research place in Liverpool. They asked him to come from Poland. He was Polish, and somehow, so they asked him to come and join the atomic research that they had. And he left in 1939. He left Poland, and he could not bring his wife with him because she had appendicitis. And so he got to England all right, but she never managed. Then Hitler invaded Poland, and she couldn't get out and join him. He tried everything so hard to get her out, but never success. And she died in one of those horrible camps. Dreadful thing. So the British joined the Los Alamos. They joined, sort of, get everybody together. So Joe was under the British, not the American people. Sir John Chadwick was in charge of them all, and Joe was very, very good friends, and he always told John Chadwick he was seeing me, and he always told when he was going and he was coming back, he was trying to be very careful, do things properly, because it wasn't really quite what they wanted. Now, I don't know whether it was the Army Intelligence or whether it was the FBI, but they found out that we both come from Liverpool. And they were both together in a bad place. They thought we might be spies. Totally ridiculous. But I can understand why they thought that. And so they were well watched, very well watched. And the time they spent watching us was ridiculous. They should be watching Klaus Fuchs. They should have been. But that's the Army Intelligence oxymoron. It was taken over by the FBI. And the FBI came to see me long after Joe had left, several years, and with a huge farm. I said, really, I probably never, I don't know, I've forgotten. There's no use asking me yet. But they cleared us, and so Joe was not allowed to come back to the United States for about 5 years, and then he was allowed to come back. So they cleared him too. But still, I mean, to mistake me for a spy is somewhat ridiculous, isn't it? Who's ever heard of a deaf Mata Hari film? So big joke, I thought. But I can understand it was kind of suspicious.
Did you know him in Liverpool?
No, not really, except I had met him once or twice. Yes, a very, very wonderful lady, the wife of a professor at Liverpool University. She probably told her husband, said, look out for anybody that's interesting but unhappy. And she conducted a salon for interesting, unhappy people. And we were both there, met briefly, but we didn't really know each other. So it wasn't friendship or anything, we just met a couple of times, maybe that's all. But then this wonderful lady, I wrote to her about everything, and I said, well, I'm rather homesick. But it's very nice here, but I'm homesick. And Joe had written to her that he'd arrived near Santa Fe. So she wrote to him and said, why don't you get in touch with Elspeth, who was in Santa Fe, and gave him my address. So he wrote to me and said, I'd like to come and have a visit. And I said, back and said, fine. So I think it was Saturday. We got along fine. I don't understand really how we got along, but he had a thick Polish accent. Thick.
But you could understand him.
I managed. I don't know how I managed, but I did. I did. And we got along very well. So he used to come on Saturdays. He said he came because Los Alamos had so many parties with some drinking and parties, and he did not like them. So he wanted to get away. So he used to come most Saturdays, and we would walk the dog, and I would make dinner sometimes if we stayed late. But he had to get the bus back, of course. So he never stayed very late. And he said, he himself said he enjoyed our company because we had a lot to talk about. And I learned a lot from her about Europe and about literature and music and all the things that I did not have when I was young. He wrote that, and I feel very touched by it. That was a very nice thing.
So you tell me more about what he liked to talk about. Did he talk about things he was working on?
No, never mentioned a word, and I didn't want to know. Of course, I knew it was not really the right thing for him to fraternize. So I never asked him about it. So I knew nothing about it. And if anybody mentioned the word atom to me, I wouldn't know what it was anyway. So we were talked about Europe and about things that he was interested in, because he hadn't had the very good education. He was strictly science.
Did he talk about his own feelings about working on the atomic bomb or the project? Did he talk about?
I knew he wasn't happy. I knew he was not happy there, and I knew that he didn't like the work. He was pretty unhappy about it, but I never inquired any more on that. So I don't know. I don't think he was really. I think he found out that Germany and Japan did not have the atom bomb, were not likely to get it. So he did not want to go on with this work. And so he told me that he was going to leave as soon as he can. And he did leave pretty soon before Christmas, 44. And so I think his heart was not in it, far from him. The idea of this Los Alamos was really, they thought Germany might have the bomb or been working on it. We thought so. But then they found out that they hadn't got very far, really, if at all. So he asked for permission to leave, and he got permission to leave. So there was no problem with that. I think Sir John Chadwick was very nice to allowing him to go. I don't know what the Americans thought. No idea. I think they were still suspicious, but that's silly. That was Klaus Fuchs that was giving all the information to Russia.
Klaus Fuchs, yeah, right. So, did he was a special friendship with Chadwick? Was he especially close to James Chadwick?
It was very, very got on with him very well. And then Joe met Klaus Fuchs at a meeting of atomic scientists in East Berlin, and he said that man had absolutely no remorse whatever. He thought he did the right thing. And Joe was horrified. He went in for atomic medicine in England, and then that was very good. And then he went to the. Have you heard of Pugwash? Pugwash. You've heard of Pugwash? He was very active in that. Very active.
Oh, of course, he founded that. Right. Can you tell us about why he decided to start the Pugwash Conferences, named for the Pugwash, Nova Scotia, where the...
So Joe was very active in that. He was the last survivor, and that's why he got the Nobel Peace Prize, which was very, very nice. We're very happy about that. They say they have 5 tons of paper material in the bottom of where the Pugwash is in London. There's a Pugwash building, a place of work in London, and they have 5 tons of written material in the basement. And they found some letters that Joe had written to me. But he was trying hard to write the right thing. So it was kind of written in pencil, make sure he got it right. And I said, send them to me, but he never did.
Did you keep in touch with Joe after he left to go back to England in 1944? Did he write to you?
Yes, he did. I did not keep the letters. They probably disappeared in our many moves which we made. And then they kind of stopped coming. And then we went to live in London, and he came to play with the children when we were living in London, and established a very good friendship with my daughter, my youngest daughter. Every time she was in England, she would go to see him, and they would have a lovely visit talking about this, that, and the other.
Oh, how nice.
That night.
And when did you live in London?
Yeah, when was it? The day of the Suez Crisis, 58, that sort of time, I think. And it's nice. It's a nice city to live in. But I didn't like it.
And where was Joe living then?
In London.
In London, too.
And he loved children. He liked to go and play with the children.
And then he visited here again when he was older. Do you remember when he came back here?
Oh, that was very
Much later.
quite late in the day. He was in Denver when the Pope was there. And I thought that was close enough, so he came visiting here.
Right, the two of them met. Joe met the Pope. You have a picture of them.
That's another Pope.
Different Pope.
Were you there? Did you go to Denver?
I think he came to see me, but he wasn't interested in Los Alamos. No. we took him there, we drove him there, and I said, don't you think you ought to go and see the important people place? And he said, oh, I think I am persona non grata there. And I said, still, I don't think so, no. But I don't know. I don't know. That's what he thought. He thought he would be frowned upon.
Joe thought he was persona non grata to the people at the laboratory, at Los Alamos National Laboratory.
There's a place there that you can go if you want, if you have connections with it, you can go. He could have gone in, I suppose, but decided against it.
He decided not to.
No, he wasn't happy then. So I think he just liked to get away from the Saturday party.
Right.
Should understand, because I guess all those girls there thought he was a single man. But he wasn't, he was still Maron.
I have read some accounts that talk about a missing suitcase that Joe was leaving. I think he'd gotten to New York City to go on to London, to England, and he had some personal letters and papers in a suitcase that disappeared.
He did.
Do you know about
Disappeared.
that? There was some, again, it's just one account that kind of clouded his departure. The suitcase, what happened to the suitcase? And
tried
what
very
was in
hard
it?
to find it. Never found them. So he thinks it was abstracted by whoever was doing the spying, which I think is very, very possible. Because they suspected him, but quite without reason.
Right, that caused more suspicion of him. But he thought that some spy had stolen it that's what, I mean, did he think that's what happened?
Well, spies never confess anything.
True.
It's no use asking them, they're not going to.
Right.
But I think it's very possible they took it. Very possible.
When did you see Joe last?
Well, he made 2 trips here. Last one was, I think, was one where the Pope was in Denver. I can't get any closer than that.
Right.
Yeah.
But,
So that said goodbye to him.
yeah.
And I'm very glad, I think, that he had a happy life, I think. But I asked him why he never remarried.
He
And
didn't.
he said, I just want to devote all my time to abolishing nuclear weapons. That takes my entire time. I can't offer anybody the help that a husband should offer. So I said, no, I wasn't happy with them. Otherwise, no excuse.
You thought he should remarry? Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You can't spend all your time on
One thing.
this one thing. But anyway, he seemed to be happy. He had friends. He had his nieces over. Some of his family survived, but his wife didn't. They traced. These Germans kept records, but. So I think he had a happy life. They're not a Los Alamos, no.
You think that after Los Alamos he was happy?
I've no idea really, but I think he was happy leaving.
He was happy leaving,
Yes,
for sure.
and I think in work at the hospital in England, I think he was happy.
Yeah, yeah.
well, happier for having left him. And then, yes, I think he was good. I think gradually got more happier and happier. And Sheila always saw him when she was in England. He said, oh, he's happy now. Yes, he's got lots of friends. He's fun.
So Sheila was someone he was close to? Who is Sheila?
Sheila's his daughter who met him in England that she was telling you about.
Oh, your daughter.
Yeah.
Oh,
Elspeth's
okay.
daughter, yeah.
Ah.
And they formed a friendship.
They got along very
That's
well.
nice.
So she kept him. The communication, as you told me once, that the communication with Joe later was more difficult in person because he talked very fast and Polish accent.
With thick Polish accent, very difficult.
Very difficult.
Very tough.
But you had some nice long letters between you at one point.
Yes. Didn't have computers then. No computers. The computers are wonderful for communication. Wonderful. So, he's a good man. A good man. And I'm glad he had a long life. Strange he just got out of Poland at the right time. If he'd stayed a day or two longer, it would have been too late. Just go sweeping in. Huh? And he said he was born either during or shortly after the First World War. And he remembers living on frozen potatoes. They had a very hard time there in Poland. Or between Germany and Russia. Not an easy place to be. He never went back. I don't think he had happy memories of Poland at all. So I think he was happy in England. I think he will. Seemed to be. They were knighted by the Queen. Wow. I think of that Nobel Peace Prize knighted by the Queen for a poor boy in Poland who lived on frozen potatoes. Brains gets you a long way.
Yeah. Wow.
That's the story then. I bought a house in Sanford. I bought a small adobe house. I paid $3,000 for it. A long time ago. That was when Joe was here that year. The Hapgoods kicked me out, I think, because I asked her to take pictures of it together, and I thought, it comes from the Los Alamos, this can't be right. So they said, no, I won't rent you anymore. So I bought this house, and Joe fixed up a light system for me. Yeah, but they opened the screen doors, knock on the door, a system of lights went on in the kitchen, living room and so on. So I knew if somebody was at the door. I thought, fancy having a Los Alamos scientist fix up a light system for me. Worked perfectly.
That's great.
Isn't that nice of him?
Very nice. That's great. Good fun.
Very nice. We did not stay long in that house. So I wonder what happened to the system. Probably took it down, I should think. But that was very nice of them to do that. So I think he, I think he liked me. I think I was kind of refuge when he wasn't happy with those. And so I'm very glad I was. When I followed his career with great admiration. He worked very hard for it.
Well, you've done a beautiful job. This is a long time ago.
Long time ago.
Yes.
I was 24.
Yeah. Wow.
Well,
Yeah.
Joe was considerably older, 8 years older. I didn't think he was good looking. I did not think he was good looking. He had a Slavic face, because I was shoot. But then, in December, we played throwing snowballs at each other outside and threw snowballs, and I saw his face from a different angle. He was down and looking up, and I thought, well, he's really quite good looking. So I think it's a very good thing he left when he did. So I thought, well, that's probably a good thing.
Wow.
Interesting how one's life works out.
That is fun.
That was a very small chapter, but a nice one to think about.
Very nice. So when did you meet your husband?
Probably when August, the war in Japan came to an end. And so it must have been September or October of 45. His parents brought him over. He'd come back from the war, from working at Howard Hughes Aircraft. And that's how I met him. Very unhappy man. Very unhappy. In our family, we seem to tend to like people who are unhappy. We want to cheer them up. That's, I feel it's our mission in life, cheer people up. So I thought, oh boy, I've never seen anybody look so unhappy. So I cheered him up.
I guess so.
I think I did.
You had 3 miracle baby girls. That would cheer anyone up.
Nice to think about. Well,
Yeah.
yes, I did cheer him up. I'm pretty sure I did. He never looked as miserable as that when he came back from Howard Hughes Aircraft. Yes, I take credit for that. No.
So did you live in San Francisco? Did you move to San Francisco?
Carmel. My parents lived in Carmel. We lived here,
Oh, you lived
and I was very happy here. I had a bookshop, and the trouble is the education. The girl, oldest girl, got kind of middle school, and the education was very, very poor here. There was no choice, really. Santa Fe Prep started not too long after. It was too late, so we decided to move to Carmel until the girls reached high school age and to educate them there. And now I think, hell no, I should have stayed here. I was much happier here. But still, you do for your children what you think would be best for them. So when they all got out of high school, they said, I'm going back to Santa Fe. Well, my husband said, well, I'm happy here. I have friends here. I said, this friend that I'm happy. And I said, well, it doesn't inspire you to paint here. You know, really, it didn't give you to paint. Time to go back to Santa Fe. Well, I'm going. You come if you want. So, of course, he came. We found this great place. Very happy. I was happy here. That worked out well.
So you bought this property, and what did you call the property?
Carencia. Nice name.
And what does that mean?
It means a love place, or it can mean a place where a bull, when it's being attacked, it goes to one place and stays there. That's this Carencia. And they said, you'll have to come and get me. I'm not moving.
That's great.
So it worked out very well for us, lots for him to do, and he started painting again. So plenty of inspiration. So that's, be very happy here. Right place.
So when did you become a gardener? When did you start building these beautiful gardens?
When you bought it,
Yeah.
it was just the main house, right?
So, yeah. It had a garage, it had a storeroom, it had a greenhouse with a place for ducks, which got eaten all the time. That was it. So my husband had a lot of inspiration. He was one of these people who do things. He wanted to do things. Very happy here. He was happy, I'm happy. It's just a nice place. I didn't start doing much gardening until after he died. I just did the necessary things, but I didn't really start doing it all. And it was hard to stop.